The Las Vegas Raiders have officially let go of Tom Telesco, and today we're diving into what this means for the team. The Raiders are in a unique situation, especially after firing Antonio Pierce just a few days ago. While I completely understand the decision to part ways with Pierce, I don't agree with letting Tom Telesco go, and I'll explain why throughout this video. So, let's jump right in. Earlier today, Ian Rappaport reported that the Raiders announced Tom Telesco has been relieved of his duties. This news is surprising because Telesco was responsible for one of the best draft classes the Raiders have seen in a long time. If you think back over the last 15 years, only a couple of draft classes really stood out, and this was definitely one of them. For instance, they picked Brock Bowers, who I wasn't sure about at first, but looking back, it makes a lot of sense. He's turned out to be a superstar. However, my favorite pick from this draft was Paris Johnson. I loved that choice from the very beginning. I would have been happy if they took him with the 13th overall pick, but getting him in the second round was a fantastic value. Tom Telesco also brought in Christian Wilkins, who was having a solid season until he got hurt. He managed to keep most of the players from last year and didn't rush into giving out contracts before the season ended, which is something many general managers might have done. I think it was smart to let things play out before making those decisions. While I'm not thrilled about the Raiders moving on from Tom Telesco, I can see why they did it. The main reason is pretty clear. To find a great head coach, sometimes you need to pair them with a general manager who shares their vision. Coaches want to feel like they have a real say in building the team and the chance to improve the roster over a few years. Let's be honest, though. Taking the Raiders' job isn't the most appealing option right now. Sure, the offensive line is young, but there are concerns. Colton Miller is a good tackle, but he's missed a lot of time due to injuries over the past few years. Plus, the Raiders are still searching for a reliable quarterback, and this year's draft class doesn't look very promising. Given all these factors, it's understandable if someone like Ben Johnson hesitates to take the Raiders' job. However, the Raiders can offer him something unique, the chance to bring in a general manager of his choice. By letting Tom Telesco go, they can tell Johnson that he'll have the power to make decisions and bring in familiar faces, whether it's someone from the Detroit Lions or another trusted colleague. This could make the Raiders' job more attractive to Johnson, as he would feel empowered to shape the team the way he wants. When it comes to working with a new head coach, it's important for them to feel that their input will truly be valued. We don't really know how Tom Telesco operated behind the scenes or how well he collaborated with the head coach. If I were in Tom's shoes, with over a decade of experience with the Chargers, I might be set in my ways. Coming to the Raiders, I might not fully embrace the head coach's ideas the way someone like Ben Johnson would. Speaking of Ben Johnson, the Raiders have a meeting scheduled with him on Friday. While I'm not entirely sure if that's confirmed, I believe Adam Schefter has backed it up after Jordan Schultz initially reported it. Ben Johnson is definitely the hot name right now, and I'd say he's at the top of the list for potential head coaches. However, it's not a done deal yet, and we need to consider that. Ben Johnson is an excellent play caller. I love sharing this story. When Dan Campbell took over as head coach of the Detroit Lions, the team was struggling, and fans were calling for his job. In the midst of this, Campbell decided to make a change on the offensive side. He fired the offensive coordinator, Anthony Lynn, and promoted Ben Johnson, who was the pass game coordinator at the time, someone most people hadn't even heard of. After that change, the Lions went on a winning streak, winning 3 out of their last 4 or 5 games. This turnaround helped Dan Campbell keep his job, and the following season, with Johnson as the offensive coordinator, the Lions became one of the best offenses in the NFL. So, in a way, Ben Johnson is credited with saving Dan Campbell's career. Now, we can't say for sure what would have happened if Johnson hadn't stepped in, but it's clear he made a huge impact. If he leaves the Lions, we'll see how they perform without him. My gut tells me they might struggle, and Dan Campbell could find himself looking for a new job in a few years. If I were Mark Davis, I'd be ready to offer Ben Johnson whatever he wants to join the Raiders. But he's not the only candidate on the Raiders' radar. There are a few other offensive coaches they might consider. I've heard the Ravens' offensive coordinator is one of them, and the Buccaneers' offensive coordinator is also a possibility. I'm open to the Raiders hiring anyone who can call plays effectively, whether on offense or defense, but I really want someone who can do it at an elite level. Ideally, I'd love to see a coach who specializes in offensive play calling, and I believe Ben Johnson has what it takes to excel in that role. Let's talk about Ben Johnson for a moment. He's currently working with one of the best offensive lines in the NFL and has an impressive group of weapons at his disposal. He has 2 strong wide receivers, a great running back, and a talented tight end. Johnson has done a fantastic job putting all of this together. However, it's important to remember that every coaching situation is different, and what works for one team may not work for another. As the Raiders move forward, they need to find a quarterback, and that's not as simple as just saying, "Let's draft Shedeur Sanders." I've mentioned this before, and I'll keep saying it. Many people believe Sanders is a first-round pick, but in reality, he's probably closer to a third-round pick. This isn't just my opinion, it's a view shared by many in the NFL. Shedeur Sanders is being overhyped, similar to how other quarterbacks have been in recent years, like Will Levis and Hendon Hooker. This year's quarterback class is not very strong. We might see one quarterback, Cam Ward, go in the first round to the Tennessee Titans, but I doubt we'll see another one. Some teams might consider taking a chance on a quarterback, but it's not guaranteed. Drafting a rookie quarterback is always a gamble. Even if you pick someone like J.J. McCarthy or Bo Nix, there's no assurance they will succeed in the NFL. What sets these quarterbacks apart is their performance in college. They showed they could handle pressure, had good footwork, and knew how to run an offense effectively. Unfortunately, I see some of these qualities lacking in Shedeur. He's not alone. Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart also have their struggles. Interestingly, I spoke to someone recently who believes Jackson Dart won't even go in the top 5 or 6 rounds, despite some people suggesting the Raiders should draft him high. As the draft approaches, we'll see which quarterbacks are truly worthy of high picks and which ones aren't. If the Raiders bring in someone like Ben Johnson, they might look for a veteran quarterback instead of relying on a rookie. They could also stick with the 2 quarterbacks they currently have. One offense that could suit Aiden O'Connell's style is the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, who has similar mobility to O'Connell, has thrived under Ben Johnson's coaching. I believe Johnson could help O'Connell succeed as well. If the Raiders do hire Ben Johnson, they need to give him a fair chance. I'd suggest a minimum of 3 years, even if the team struggles initially. It's crucial to allow him to build the team and implement his vision. The same goes for whoever the new general manager is. The Raiders have a history of firing coaches and general managers too quickly, and that's not a recipe for long-term success. When Tom Telesco was brought in, I was excited because he had 11 years of experience as a general manager. I thought he could bring valuable insights to the Raiders. You can't gain the kind of experience needed to be a successful general manager without going through the ups and downs of the job. Most general managers start as assistants, and they don't get to make the final decisions. When they do get that chance, they learn from their mistakes. However, many general managers only get one shot at the job. Take Tom Telesco, for example. He might not get another opportunity to be a general manager again, even though he had a strong draft class this past year. Look at guys like Dave Ziegler or Mike Mayock. They may never be general managers again. It's tough to succeed in this role, and the Raiders need to find someone who can bring stability to the team. I'm really tired of seeing the Raiders go through this cycle of hiring and firing coaches every couple of years. It's just not how you build a winning team. Now, let's touch on the so-called Tom Brady effect. There have been rumors that Bill Belichick might come in, and that could be part of the reason the Raiders moved on from Tom Telesco. Belichick seems to want to be his own general manager, but I don't think he's leaving North Carolina. If he wanted to stay in the NFL, he could have done that. Coaching in college is a different experience for him. In my opinion, winning Super Bowls in the NFL doesn't add much to Belichick's legacy at this point. If he spends another 10 years in the NFL, he might struggle to find the right quarterback and build a winning team. In college, it's easier to recruit players for 4 years and build a program. So, I think Belichick is better off in college, and I doubt he'll come to the Raiders. However, I do hope Tom Brady gets more involved with the Raiders moving forward. I think Mark Davis should let Brady take the lead on ownership decisions. At this point, it's getting a bit ridiculous with all the changes happening. Some of you have asked why I haven't been posting lately or covering the news about Antonio Pierce and everything else going on. As you can see in the background, I'm not at home right now. I'm at the Hula Bowl, where I work as a scout. It's been a hectic week. I've been here since Sunday and will be leaving right after the game on Saturday. I'll probably be back home posting content regularly by Sunday or Monday of next week. So that's why I haven't been posting. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to give a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time with another video.